The three monster girls are in their lingerie, racing over to Kimihito, wrestling over who's going to be the girl he's going to marry soon, with this being of course his legal wife, Leah being a Lamia and the first girl living with him, Poppy the bird brain Harpy being the second, and Centaurea the stacked centaur being the newest girl, with them all angrily looking at each other, wanting him to decide who's going to be his new bride. Kimihito is sweating bullets, wondering how did they jump into the conversation of marriage so quickly. Earlier that day, Mia's explaining the species exchange house rules, adding in one final rule of her having top authority over the other girls, since she was here the longest. Poppy, believing this is an actual rule, decides to read the foreign exchange book, with Centaurea obviously knowing that she's making up this lie, having not seen this anywhere in the bill. Kimihito enters the room, telling Centaurea that Miss Smith wants her to fill out her homestay forms, with a giant hoof mark around his eyes. Mia sees this and gets very angry with the girl. Before things get violent, Kimihito explains that she walked in during her bath by mistake, so she embarrassingly overreacted. Kimihito apologizes to Centaurea again, with her doing the same. The two of them look like a newlywed couple, holding hands with each other, while staring deep into the other's eyes, only making Mia even more frustrated with them, as they're flirting now. The two of them get into an argument over having hurt Kimihito in the past, explaining their reasons for doing so. Poppy's burn brain explodes from having to read too many words, so she decides to take a bath. Poppy can't bathe herself, so Kimihito has to help her. But since he's there, she has to wear a school swimsuit, with this being because it's the only style Miss Smith would approve. The two of them talk out of context, but it sounds rather spicy. Kimihito tries to get her to stop, but Poppy ends up trying to fight him, and is about to use her sharp talons. Luckily, Kimihito is saved by Centaurea's arrows, who then asks him to mount her. Mia tries to stop her, and tells her to get back here to sign her paperwork, but Mia ends up getting trampled, with hoof marks all over her. The two of them go out to a park, and due to the high speeds, he mistakenly grabs her melons, needing so for grip. He apologizes, but she gleefully reassures him that it's alright, seeing that he's her master now. The boy wants her to relax with the servant talk, but Centaurea goes on about how she's a proudful Centaurea woman who loves her tradition. Kimihito looks at her and wonders what's behind her, with this being a callback to a JoJo reference, this being her stand. Kimihito reminds Centaurea that she's on an exchange program, so she needs to relax, and to tell him if there's something that she wants to try, with her nervously asking to hold his hand, like a normal human girl. The two of them hold hands for a moment, while Mia and Poppy come from the sky, having broken the law of being outside the house without the host family, and the three of them have a big monster fight. Miss Smith happens to come across them, and shoots out 3 tranquilizers, but Kimihito runs in, not noticing this, getting hit with all 3 of them. When he wakes up, the 3 girls are ashamed, and sorry for causing trouble, promising to hold back their feelings so they don't hurt him. The man gets up and tells them that even if they do get carried away, sometimes it's fine, and they keep being themselves, mentioning how they're basically family now. Miss Smith giggles about this, whispering to herself, hearing exactly what she wanted. She then mentions how there's been a change with the species bill, allowing for marriage between species, using Darling as the acting test family. Legally, he has to choose one of them to marry, either Mia, Poppy, or Centaurea. She leaves having done her job, but does feel like she forgot something to mention. Kimihito's obviously panicking, wondering what does she mean by this, wanting some answers. That night, Mia knocks on his door, wanting to talk. Mia quickly becomes delirious, pushing him onto the bed, wanting to make sure he was alright with marrying her. She again goes into detail how Lamia species mate all night, with them having to coil around each other's bodies, using her tongue to lick them. Poppy breaks through the door, knocking Mia out. Poppy then asks to meet with Kimihito. The next moment, Centaurea can be seen breaking into the door. She then explains that the full moon causes monsters to go into their beastly instincts, heightening their senses. Plus, was Miss Smith talking about marriage? That just put it over the top. When he asks why isn't she affected by this, she explains that her body and soul already belong to him, to then taking his hands and showing that she is affected by this, to then outright showing him, with them now realizing that this could be a problem. He's able to escape the room, with Miss Smith calling to remind him that it's a full moon, so the girls might be a little bit aggressive tonight, then asking which girl did he bang, with him yelling he hasn't banged anyone yet. And based on the conversation, she can already tell that he didn't make a decision yet on who to marry. She elaborates how he should at least talk to them, and at least keep them in the loop about what's going on, but instead he probably locked himself in his room, making them act desperately to win him over. She then mentions that he can use ice to calm them down. The next morning, they all come to their senses, apologizing for what happened, but Kimihito takes blame for it. He'll decide who to marry. That night, Mia checks to see what's for dinner, to then being suffocated by a slime monster. They put the slime into water to calm it down, but it soon becomes active again. Centaurea tries to slice the creature, but ends up having her sword covered in slime. In the shower, Centaurea comes into the bath with Kimihito, needing his help to wash her back. He questions if that's actually the case. How does she normally wash her hard to reach places? Assuming that she doesn't, but they're taking offense to this, and he mistakenly washes her sensitive area. To break the silence, they talk about the slime monster, and saying that it's searching for water, And that's when they realize they're in the bath right now, surrounded by water, being the most dangerous place in the house. That's when Sue the slime monster appears. Sue doesn't know how to communicate yet, so she mimics what she saw Kimihito and Centaurea do. She soon becomes more than he can handle, so he tosses her into the water to calm her down. The group realizes how dangerous she can be, but they're also able to take a human form. Kimihito remarks on how nice the form is, and Poppy decides to name her, with this being Sue. From this, Sue starts to repeat her own name, giving her a raincoat and boots, so that she won't look completely indecent. Group takes her out to play in the town, with the neighborhood kids wanting to play with Poppy like they normally do when she sneaks out the house. Water ends up getting on Sue, causing her to grow, being too much stimulation for the youngsters. The Ardward couple from earlier are speeding, and they almost hit the young girl who wanders into the street. Sue is able to save her by jumping in front of her. On the way home, Miss Smith catches them outside the house with Sue. Later in the day, Mia's dressed in a military outfit, talking to the rest of them like an admiral, suggesting to Officer Darling that they hide Sue from the government in order to keep her from being deported. We soon see the second interspecies exchange security service coming to renovate the house to fit Sue, making Kurusu think highly of Miss Smith. Meanwhile, the girls scurried out of the house, thinking that they came to deport the slime creature, to then jump into the nearby bushes, realizing that since they don't have Darling, they would be arrested on the spot if they're caught. With guards looking for them, Poppy notices that Sue might be thirsty, and accidentally spills some water. The slime monster aggressively kisses Poppy, trying to suck the moisture, and the girls get embarrassed, and Sue eventually engulfs her body. Poppy then collapses, having reached her limit. At that moment, Kimihito's looking for the monster girls, when suddenly, a beautifully chested girl, pink hair, is speeding down a ramp, having lost control of her wheelchair. This being Marin. She's about to crash, but Kimihito braces himself for the fall, having his own airbags to reduce the damage. As the two of them begin to talk, she does mention how she saw some monster girls in the park. Miia makes a comment how they could hide under Centaurea since her butt is so big, angering Centaurea, but because of this she breaks a faucet while she's walking because of her butt. She mentions how she's soaked now. She then realizes something else, that being the dehydrated Sue. The slime monster scurries all over her butt. While Centaurea is trying to cry out, Miia covers her mouth so the group won't be spotted, but Sue isn't satisfied. Kimihito and Marin arrive to see Miia and Sue beginning their duel. Miia suggests to Sue that she could just drink the tap water if she's thirsty, but Sue's not satisfied with that, wanting something else. Attacking her weakness and defeating all three monster girls, glaring her eyes at Marin, launching herself towards her, Kimihito nonchalantly just uses a trash bag to capture the slime girl, and the group returns back home to see a fully functioning indoor pool and a new guest, that being Marin, with her being a mermaid. Marin and Kimihito start to get close, making Miia jealous, seeing the mermaid as her only competition, going after them. But as a result, three of them fall down the stairs, breaking her wheelchair, forcing Kimihito to carry her everywhere, while Miss Smith brings her another one. When the two of them leave, Miia rants on about how she's the obvious choice for Darling. At least she was until Marin arrived. Miia becomes even more pissed, with Marin's bikini slipping off because of the mucus covering her body. Marin asks Poppy if the master has a wife or a lover yet. Hearing this, Centaurea starts to question the mermaid, wondering why she's so curious. Marin then tells her about her favorite thing, that being tragic mermaid fairy tales, with her view of love making Centaurea reveal something about the mermaid, but she's then thrown off when Marin guesses that she's his lover, embarrassing the centaur, seeing the mermaid as a queen with her manner of speech, vowing to serve her. Miia interjects about the girl, saying that she's never going to touch Darling, and the mermaid gives her a twisted grin and a cold expression. At the pool, Miia shows up in a flashy swimsuit, trying to have her way with Darling. Suddenly, Marin and Kimihito fall into the pool, with Miia misinterpreting what's happening here, diving in after them. But she soon collapses, but they're not able to handle cold temperatures. In the bath, the two of them have a heart-to-heart conversation, and Miia apologizes for being so rude to her, but vows not to give up on becoming Kimihito's bride, making the mermaid bust her bubble, saying that she's never going to marry the master, being a tragic love fanatic, wanting to sleep with him behind her back, hoping that she'll allow some infidelity, but still cheering on her romance. And that's where we're going to leave off in today's video. If you liked today's video, here's another one just like it, so go check it out. This video is going to be broken down into parts, so if you like the video, make sure to give it a like, and why not subscribe to the channel. I upload daily videos just like this one, so I'll see you next time.